Welcome to Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. On this podcast, my guest and I will discuss topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. I believe that everyone can live a life that is happy, healthy, and whole. So I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get to it. Hey guys, real quick, before we jump into the episode, I need you to do the 3 S's for me. What is that? First of all, I need you to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss an episode of our podcast. Number 2, I need you to share it with your family and friends. Don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone else. Lastly, I need you to say something. Leave us a comment. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you want to see from us, what you like, what you don't like. We are open to your suggestions. We want to know everything that you want to let us know about the podcast. All right. Now, get back to the episode. All right. Welcome to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I am your host, Earnest James, and I believe that everyone can and should live a life that is whole, healed, and healthy. And therefore, I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. If you haven't already, make sure that you listen, like, subscribe, and share our podcast on all of your social media platforms or our social media platforms, as well as your podcast listening platforms. Make sure that you guys are also checking us out on our YouTube channel, the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network, where you can find not only you can find the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, which is our sister podcast, as well as the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, which you are listening to or watching right now. So again, that's the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, as well as the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, and several other podcasts and some more podcasts that we are planning to bring you in the future. All of them can be found on our YouTube channel, the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network. So make sure you guys are checking us out there. Also, our podcast is brought to you by our new school community, which is the Deal to Heal School for Living. You guys can go and check that out. The first week is absolutely free. It helps us to continue our mission to help people deal, heal, and fulfill by bringing you resources and workshops to help you do just that. So again, you guys can check us out. The first week, first 7 days, absolutely free. After that, it's only $27 a month, and each month you have access to a new workshop. So make sure you guys go and check that out. The links are in the description, or you could just scan the QR code in the upper corner of our podcast if you are watching. So thank you guys very much. Please go check that out. Again, that's our new platform, the Deal to Heal School for Living, which is on the school platform. All right. But today, just like any other day, we are blessed with a guest, Jess D. How you doing?
I'm great. How about yourself, Mr. James?
I am good. And I want to say, first of all, thank you for being here, because you could have been doing anything else with anyone else, but you're here with me and my listeners, and we definitely appreciate it. And so we're going to jump right into this thing, as we often do. Do me a favor, introduce yourself to my audience. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Okay, so what's going on, everybody? I am Jess D. I am an international gospel singer, as well as an award-winning author for My 5 Seasons. I have traveled the world, helping people, motivating people to live a life that helps, them to be able to fulfill whatever their dreams, their future endeavors, their purposes. I just love connecting the dots for people. That's one of my most amazing things that I love to do. And to me, I'm really good at it.
All right. Cool. So we're going to get right into it and learn a little bit more about you. So you mentioned you're a international gospel artist. And so I want to go back. I want to go back toward the beginning of your journey, because I always say there's a story behind every story, right?
That is
And there's a story behind the version of us that is here now. So who was the earlier D, right? Before the artist and everything now, and what was kind of that transition that you went through, even to become a artist and to become a author, and not just making music and not just singing, but singing and making music that actually is geared toward helping people, because that's a different mindset than just entertaining. So who was the earlier D? Tell us a little bit about your story and how you came to be this version of yourself.
Well, the earlier D, man, my God, it's been a long time that I went back in the time capsule to bring the education out about her. But it was definitely a household full of music. My mom, she sings opera. My mom's brother, he plays 7 instruments. So our family, the Woolfolk family, is a musically inclined family that has a talent from everywhere. And as me as a little girl, gospel music has always been the pillar of my life. I was raised Baptist, and then you know how it goes. You raised Baptist, and then when you get older, you start going to these little other churches, Pentecostal, Kojic. You start really seeing how music evolves and how it sounds and how it makes you feel. And I started to experience my mom when I was 9. She put me in music lessons. So I was playing the piano since I was 9. And then as I went to school, went to college, I started to pick up my second instrument, which was the bass. And then I picked up the guitar, and I love the drums, so I play the drums as well. Um, but my journey has definitely started because of my family, especially my mom, and the singing career. Now, fast forward, back in 2014, God told me to make him an album. And I said, God, I said, you want me to make you an album? Nobody wants to hear me sing. Like, I am not Beyonce. I'm not Kelly Price. I'm just a little old person, even though I'm 5'11", but a little old person, and just going to school. And he said, you know what? I'm gonna wait. And the Lord waited until 2017 when he said, I said, you know what, Lord, I'm gonna be obedient. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Because the only thing he wanted me to do was to spread his love. He said, just spread my love. I'm not asking you to be no pastor. I'm not asking you to be, do everything by the book. I just want you to spread my love. And I said, well, you know what? I mean, that's simple because I love you. So I might as well just show people and sing to people how much that I love you. And hopefully it will resonate. And which, when I say, Mr. James, God has taken me to so many places ever since I stayed obedient. And even now, I mean, I did my first tour in 2019 in Europe. I've been to Spain, Brazil, Ireland. I mean, within just the first 3 years after I said yes. And it's just been a great experience, and it just shows when you're obedient to whoever you serve, things will become abundant.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I love that. So, one quick question, because you said you grew up Baptist and went to different churches and things. So, are you by any chance a PK?
No,
No.
I don't think the world want me to be a PK. So I'm okay in the lane I am in.
Right, right, right. Okay. So just for those who don't know, and if they listen to this podcast, you should know by now what a PK is, which is a pastor's kid or a preacher's kid, which I am. So that's how I know that they should know, because I've said it for many times on this podcast. But definitely grew up in the church, and wasn't my gift to sing. I was blessed where I can write, uh,
Mhm.
but I didn't get the singing part. So I have 8 siblings, and out of the 8, uh I think probably about 6 or 7 of us at least have gotten the gift to sing, and some even better than others. But and that wasn't my gift. So, but but I can talk. You know what I mean? And
Hey,
so I did get the writing. I did get the gift of writing, and started off writing poetry and things of that nature, and definitely have written some songs. Um, and yeah, so I did get that. So here we are. I wanna go. I want to first of all talk about, because you mentioned the books, right? And my 5 seasons, and I'm sure there's a story behind that.
mhm.
Even those seasons, as we will get into what they are, and how they came about. So let's go back into that part of your life of, kind of healing through the things that you needed to heal through in order to even start that journey of being a writer, and writing something that would help people to heal in their own journey. So
Mhm.
let's go back into that part of your story of what that journey looked like, and what was those kind of trials that you had to make it through, to heal through, to be able to stand up as the version that you are now.
Oh yes. So wow. So I'm a year and date person because I like to give factual information. So back in 2009, I was in college, and um, when I had a nurse that used to come to my dorm room, and when she left, I sat at my desk, and the like it's like this whole like like a wave came over me, and the first thing I heard God said was, September is going to be your hardest month. And I said, what? And he said, if you ride with me, you will come out untouched. And I didn't. Now, mind you, I'm 19 years old, so the whole understanding God as a fresh spiritual person. Everything was still new, and I'm pretty sure you can contest to that, especially leaving your parents' house. You
Mhm.
know, your experience with God is definitely going to be different as you're growing into your spirituality. So when he said that, I said, okay. And he said, if you ride with me, you will come out untouched. So literally, and this was back in August when he said that. So come September, I had a very trying time at college, to the point where it became that lawyers had to come in to play. Um, but one thing he said was that I will be untouched, and he was right. I was literally untouched. It was a shift for me to move from where I live in, which is in New Jersey, to move to Florida. And in 2010, I moved down to Florida, and moved into an apartment, went to school, and because God wanted me to start my music career. But in that same time frame, I started to get these quotes that I would hear from people, or stuff that I created, or movies, or just talking to people and having conversation. Something will come as far. So I started writing them down. And for 14 years, in my phone, I had a notebook of all different type of quotes that came about, that helped me
Mhm.
through the seasons, from you know being untouched when I was right with God, untouched, to even to the day now. And the quotes, and then the journal started to come about, to where I went to a baby shower, and now she's my mentor now. I told her, I said, Miss Cheryl Mays, I said, I said, I know I need to get my doctor's degree before I can write my book. And she said these amazing words that stopped everything for me in 2020. She said, why do you have to wait? And I didn't understand the phrase, because I was like, I thought in my mind that if you are a doctor, you have a doctor's degree,
Mhm.
you are people that write books. So
Mhm.
that title, about titles and people think. And she said, you don't need that. She said, if you have something to say, you need, if for the people, you need to get it out there. And so in
Mhm.
2021, I started taking these quotes, going through them, and started creating my 5 seasons. And now they have been one of the amazing, amazing journals out there. And the only thing I'm doing is now just giving them to the world, because I want to be that person. I want these journals to be the tools, the guided tools for anybody that's trying to get through their seasons.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that because you said it's 5 seasons,
Mhm.
right? And so let's talk about each season without giving everything away because we definitely want them to purchase the book. And it's a journal, and journals are always a little different, so it's okay if we talk about it because when someone experiences it, it's still they have to put their words into it,
Mhm.
right? So it's not like telling the end of a movie and just mess the whole movie up.
Exactly.
Like everybody movie is gonna be different, when it comes to journaling. But you talked about the 5 seasons, so let's kind of walk us through like each season and what it represents.
Oh yeah. So winter definitely represents reflection. You you can't start your journey without reflecting on your past. This is where the word growth comes into play because between your past, your present, as well as your future, there has to be a growing process.
Mhm.
Easily said and done. When people think about spring, they think about spring cleaning, they think about the flowers are blooming, you got all these different trees blossoming. You think of that, but in the season, in the spring season, we talk about spring cleaning. So once you have reflected, now it's time for you to spring clean. It's time for you to get rid of those old habits and
Mhm.
start to generate new things. And the old saying is when spring comes, I remember when I was growing up, my mom, she said, when spring comes, we throw out all the new stuff or we give it to the Salvation Army and we make room for new. The Bible said in order to be created new, you have to be created from the inside out. So this is where that spring comes in. And then you have one of my favorite seasons is summer because I'm a summer baby. And the first thing that I think about in summer is being outside, 4th of July, cookouts,
Mhm.
popsicles, being out in the sun, no school. I mean, a lot of people can contest to when we were kids that there was no school and for ever how many months. But it was a fun time. But then you also have the downside of the summertime because now when the children um, did not do well in all the other seasons, guess where they have to go? Summer school. So now you go to school all year round because you didn't do what you were supposed to do in the other seasons for preparation. So now you
Mhm.
got to go back. So the time that you were supposed to have fun, now you still working. And that's one of my, I have to say, the summer book is one of my favorites. But then now we come down to the fall season. You got the leaves, falling and just is just so much of different colors and the yellows and the orange and the green, the crisp leaves when you step on them. You start to feel like, man, we are in the fall season. But this is also a season that you have to understand how to fall. A lot of people don't
Mhm.
realize
How
that
to find.
that season you have to learn how to fall. Because if you don't learn how to fall, how can you go to the summer season and learn how to play, or the spring season and learn how to clean, or even the winter season and learn how to reflect? You need to fall so that you can go reflect on the fall. You need to fall to learn how to, clean up what your reflection was from when you fell. And then hopefully you don't have to repeat yourself in the summertime where
Mhm.
you can enjoy yourself. You get what I'm saying? So I
Yeah,
want to make sure I'm making sense to you.
yeah,
You
you
know,
are, you are.
it's a masterpiece. But this is the question that I got for you. What do you think the last season is?
So that was going to be my question. So I was waiting to hear what the last one is. So I'm not really sure. But let me see. Let me think about it and see if I can take a guess. So we talked about seasons. We talked about summer and spring. We talked about fall. Um, I don't know. A new year. That's all I can think. So just like the new year of it all.
Okay. So the last season is called your season.
Hmm.
Because see, at the end of the day, even though we have 4 seasons of what the world says we have, you still have your own season that you have to understand. and your season will change when the normal seasons change.
Hmm.
In winter season, you really could be in a fall season. In summer,
Hmm.
you could be in a fall season. Spring, you could be in a winter season. Your season is what you have created in that season. So your season is definitely something that I take very pride in, because people don't realize is that this is the season you're in, and this is how the season you have to master, whether good or bad. So that's why the fifth season is your season, however it comes about.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. One of the things that I do, I do a workshop, and I'll talk about a little bit more about at the end of the show. But I do a workshop with a friend of mine, and I'm one of the facilitators of a workshop what we call the forgiveness workshop. Right, uh, the forgivenessmission.com is the website, but it's a forgiveness workshop where we talk about forgiveness. And one of the things that I talk about is forgiveness of self, and I use SELF as an acronym, which stands for season of life, emotional state, limited information, and forgiveness by grace. So when we talk about the S, which is the season of life, I do talk about what season were you in,
Mm-hmm.
because we're talking about forgiveness and forgiving ourselves for the grudges that we still hold against ourselves. And so as we reflect on these grudges and these things that we're holding against ourselves, I always ask, what season of life were you in? Because again, like you said, we go through seasons, and sometimes some of the things that we do may just be a reflection of the season that we were in at that time, not a reflection of who we are as a whole. It was just that season. So I definitely can relate to the seasons that you talk about. The season I want to talk a little bit more about them though. uh I wrote a little something down because we talked about the spring season, right?
Mm-hmm.
And about making room. And it's funny that you say that, because I just had this conversation with someone who was recently coming back to the church, right? After,
Mm-hmm.
been in the church most of their life and kind of went their own way, and then was coming back, and just having a conversation with them. And they were kind of explaining, this season that they're in, right? Of a lot of things changing, and changing quickly, how, and I'm sure you can attest to this, how when God comes in and it's just your time, he can change you quickly. You know,
Exactly.
so your thoughts change, your likes change, the people you hang with change, like everything changes quickly. And then sometimes you find yourself in this space of, okay, I've cleaned out all of this stuff. Now what I'm gonna do? You know what I mean? Like now I gotta find new friends and new this and whatever. But one of the things that I was sharing with them, and I'd love to get your input on this, was that as you're cleaning, right? As you're cleaning your soul, your mental, whatever it is, as you're cleaning, when you get this space clean, then you have to fill it with something, because
Exactly.
the scripture says that when the enemy is kicked out and he comes back and sees that the space is clean, then he's going to bring seven more spirits that's even worse than him, right? And so it's like, so you can't leave it open. You know what I mean? Like you clean it, but now you got to put something in it. You know what I mean? So whether it's more study or whatever it is that you need, you just can't have a blank canvas or an empty room, should I say? Because now you have enough room for blessings, but it's also enough room for other things to come in too.
Exactly.
So just having that conversation with them as they're going through this spring season, I guess, of their spiritual life now. Um, I would just like to get your viewpoint on that, and just that spring season, as anyone who is kind of going through that season of life, and what that looks like, with that cleaning, whether it be, cleaning of their mental space, or their mental health, or even physical health, or whatever that space is that they're cleaning out. What would kind of be your input on, helping them even in that season, like some tips or something maybe that they can use in order to go along with that cleaning process?
Okay, so for me, so I don't know if I mentioned this. So I am a certified journal therapist coach. So one of the things that I tell my clients, the first thing I do, I ask them the question is, why are you cleaning? What made you decide to clean now?
Hmm.
Everything has been not so good for 10 years and you've been going along with the process for 10 years. Now all of a sudden you want to clean.
Mhm.
What happened in your life that you decided to clean now?
Mhm.
Because when you start to find out exactly the story, because they are the only ones that know what happened.
Mhm.
One of my t-shirts that I have, it says your season, your story. So in that season, you know your story because I don't. The only thing I
Mhm.
can do is help and guide you. So that would be the first question I ask. And when they tell me, well, this happened, this event happened. So usually is the event is this is how the formula works. E for event plus for plus R, which is reaction equals O, which is your outcome. So E plus R equal O. So with that being said, this event that happened and you reacted this way brought you to me because
Mhm.
now you need help because you reacted to an event that got you to your outcome of trying to clean. So now we need to go backwards because your outcome of what you're wanting to do is not helping you for the reaction that you gave the event. So, meaning, I'll give an example. John said that his wife is not you know we just gonna say cooking right now, and he has been doing all this cooking, and he doesn't want to keep cleaning dishes every day, and also and his wife doesn't do anything. So now this is the event that happened, and now he reacts, he blows up. It just because again, anything that you stay inside your system and then
Yeah.
let it fester and it start to erupt like a
Mhm.
volcano. So now
Yeah.
you do this reaction, and the outcome is your wife is really mad. She has pretty much we'll just go the drastic way, and she has moved out and all this, and now you have an outcome that you was not expecting. So now how do you clean that up? How do you become a brand new person if you would just ask yourself, why is she not cleaning or why is she not cooking, and get the response first so that
Mhm.
you will be able to actually respond or react appropriately so that y'all both can have a conversation. Now, mind you, this is an example that's very, very simple, but it's very effective at the same time because this is what happened with us all. We
Mhm.
have these events, we react, and then we don't like the outcome. And then
Right.
now we go start asking God, like, oh my God, we got this outcome. What am I supposed to do? But when you start to really create yourself from within and start asking yourself what the question is, well, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel like I need to change this? Or even if we went to the whole substance abuse, what I'm saying, kind of road. It's the same thing. Ask yourself, why do you want to stop now after you've been doing it for 15 years? What event happened for you to decide you want to be created? No. You know what I'm saying? So that's
Yeah.
kind of how that would be the first tip that I would give anybody is the why. And they always say your why is important. But really,
Mhm.
people, it really is not just about the why, it's about the event which got you to your why.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I like that. I like that. So I want to talk about one other one because you talked about
Mhm,
the summer season and going back to school, and I think that's important too because um, when you think about summer school, right?
mhm,
You could go to summer schools for two reasons, right?
mhm,
And from my experience, so you can either go to summer school to catch up, or you
mhm.
can go to summer to get ahead, right?
Gotcha.
And so I talk about part of my story when I was younger. I wanted to graduate early from high school, and so I took went to summer school to get ahead. So I
Okay.
ended up where I graduated in 3 years instead of 4 years,
Hmm.
right? So it's that season of there's some lessons that you need to learn, either some that again to get ahead or some that you got to make up for. And I was talking about one of a quote that one of my old pastors used to say. He said people always ask when they're going through something, how long would this season last, or should I say, how long would this test last? And he would
Yeah.
always say it'll last until you pass.
And
You
it
know what I
will
mean?
last
And
until you
so
pass.
that,
You
that
got that right.
summer, I think that summer school analogy that you said, it fits right with that. It's like either you got to learn this lesson that you've been battling with over and over again, and you're gonna keep on going through it until you learn it, or you have this new lesson that you are trying to learn in order to move forward with yourself. And so, just your thoughts on that kind of analogy, and again, that just came from my experience, because a lot of times, again, we do think about summer school as, okay, we got to make up for what we didn't do right,
Mhm.
and so I just throw that extra part from my point of view of, you did do right, and you go into summer school to kind of get further, further ahead. So, what your thoughts even on that for that summer?
So in the book, I have these core, you know, points or palettes or however
Mhm.
that I call it the summer cocktail. Okay, so it's five different points that I talk about. The first one is about love, reminding yourself to pour, in which that's what you did. You
Mhm.
poured into yourself. This is what because we're talking, because as you said, summer has a double sword. It could be negative or it could be positive. So when I
Mhm.
talked about it first, I talked about it as a more of a negative, but see, you're coming to me as more of a positive. So, and I have something for that. So
Mhm.
basically, the first the first ingredients of the summer cocktail is love. So pretty much, reminding you to pour into what you are becoming. You want it to be ahead, so you're trying to become something. And I love people. I love everybody, but I love people that want to become something new, because
Mhm.
that just shows growth for me. And I could go into a whole segment about that. But the second ingredient is called honor. Okay, so, and I mean, this is some good stuff I'm giving to the people because I want them to understand this summer cocktail. So it's honor. It's about opening space for healthy relationship, unconditional love. Again, going back to the first ingredient, which is love. So now that you already honored yourself because you love yourself, now you can go to the third ingredient, which is focus. You get what I'm saying? Now, focus
Mhm.
teaches you to protect your attention, excuse me, and celebrate what's good. So like you said, your summer school was for you to become something, to be ahead, so you can graduate early and all those great things. So you were focused, you were driven.
Mhm.
You took a normally bad thing to that the world knows and turn it into something good. A lot of people can't do that. So that's a rare gem that you have. The fourth ingredient is called forgive. Free from the weight of mistakes and regrets. And then the
Mhm.
last one is called cherish. Now, cherish calls you to protect your inner peace and nurture your soul. And that's what the summer cocktail ingredients is all about. So I love that, you was like, I went to summer school for the opposite. And a
Yeah.
lot of people won't say that, you know. But no, definitely. So that's what I would say. That would be one of my viewpoints for that.
I love it. I love it. I want to switch it up just a little bit. And it probably is still in the same vein, but just switch
Mhm.
it up a little bit. Because we're talking about going through our seasons and kind of making it through our those seasons, and dealing with each one as they come. And as we go through those seasons, we are blessed. Most of us, I would say, most of us who go through it, at the end of it, we are blessed with a new experience of who we are, who we become, and even who we've learned of ourselves, what we learned of ourselves. And so, one of the things you talk about is embracing the vision, the voice, and the victory, right?
Mm.
And I think that's kind of coming out of those seasons and dealing with those seasons, and then emerging as this new version of yourself, and being able to embrace that version of yourself is kind of what I got from what you were saying. So tell us a little bit about that, and your thoughts around that, just embracing that new vision of who you are, or whatever that new dream is, and even being able to walk in victory, after you've done the work through the seasons.
Mm. Wow, I love that. So, embracing is one of those things where a lot of us don't want to embrace the
Mhm.
progress. embracing the process, the journey, the path, because people, pretty much say that embracing is more so it could be more so a negative feeling because you have to embrace everything. Because embracing is again another one of those words that double sword. You can embrace in a good way. A newborn baby has come into the world. I'm going to embrace it with all
Mhm.
my love. But why can't we give that same energy to when things are not going our way and embrace it with the same thing? I my car broke down. I'm going to embrace that with all my love. But we don't do that. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? We always want to associate a lot of these words with positive instead of with everything. So when we talk about embrace, vision, voice, and victory, for me, I had to embrace the process that God put me through by me creating this album. Never created an album a day in my life. Don't know nothing about it. But He has given me the knowledge prior to do it because He said, you're going to school. So you're going to go to a recording art school and you're going to learn the fundamentals, to do what the victory is going to look like, which is
Mhm.
creating the album. So, but in that same process, I had to embrace every heartache, every feedback, every criticism from myself and others. Every day that I just got depressed and was like, Lord, why did you pick me? This is so hard. This is so challenging. What made you think of me? Start asking and questioning God. I had to embrace all that, but in that same time, He had a vision. The vision was for me to finish it because the vision and the victory are basically the same thing,
Mhm.
but in the middle of that was my voice. My voice spoke. It spoke loudly. It spoke saying, I am hurting and I need help. Not just from God, but from everybody around me. I should not have to hide my voice to say, you
Mhm.
know what? I'm going through a journey that I never been on, and I'm scared. I don't understand why He picked me. And then once once your voice is heard and it gets through, then you got the victory of this is what happens when you listen to God, when you go through the process, when you keep the vision at the forefront and knowing that at the end you are going to get up on top, but you got to go through. You have to go through the valley. What the Bible says, I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. That
Mhm.
is what the vision, the voice, and the victory looks like. You got to walk through some things. The Bible also say, walk by faith, not by sight. That is the
Mhm.
vision, the voice, and the victory. These are the things that we have to embrace. And now, being where I have been now the last 15, 60 years, I do more embracing anything that happens to me, whether good or bad, because I understand that the victory is way more bigger than me sitting here crying over what I do or don't do. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just so I want people to understand that embrace everything with all your heart, embrace that progress, and celebrate the little things. You know what I'm saying? If you right now just got out the hospital and you want to walk and you just took your first step, I want you to celebrate. Tell somebody in your family to bring you a cake and put on there
Yeah.
one step today. Because
Yeah.
we have to start embracing everything, not just the selective. My mom used to say when I was little, you have selective hearing. I'm pretty sure you have heard that. You have selective, you want to hear what you want to hear. You want to celebrate what you want to celebrate when it looks good to the outside world. But what about the celebration of the things or embracing the things that don't look good to the outside world? That the vision doesn't line up what the world says. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I want people to understand that you got to embrace everything.
Yeah. And I love it because a lot of the words that you use, I use on different things. So we talked about the self acronym and the seasons and the seasons. Where I also have a program that I do called Embracing Your Grief, right? Because I share my story of, grieving the loss of my mom and my mother-in-law at the time, and falling into depression and all of that. But coming out on the other side of it, the blessing part about it is once you learn to again embrace that grief, like okay, things happen. How am I going to process it?
Mhm.
And grief is one of those things. Once you get on that, that hamster wheel, it doesn't stop. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It gets easier. I would say that if you look at the grief wheel, which is the emotions that you go through when you're experiencing grief, it never stops. It just keeps turning. And so if you think of it as a wheel on a street, it could be a smooth street, and you be like, hey, I got this thing figured out. And then you might hit a pothole, you know what I mean? And then it throws everything back off. And you're like, I thought I dealt with this thing. I thought
Exactly.
but it's embracing that it's never going to go away, but it may get easier as you begin to process it. And as you embrace the fact that it's now going to be a part of your life.
Mhm.
There will be times when you think about your loved one or whatever that loss is that you're grieving, that you may still feel emotional about it. But then there will be times when you get to the space where you're able to smile about different memories that
Mhm.
may come up. But that all goes into embracing that grief and embracing those emotions and all those things that comes along with it. So I love that we have this these word connections going on. I love it. I
I
love
love
it.
it too. That's awesome. I mean, I love how you connect everything. That's great.
Yeah, yeah. So, last thing I want to talk about, one thing that you talk about is faith fueled living,
Mm.
right? And I love that because I don't often talk about church. I do talk about being, definitely being a PK and things of that nature, but I don't necessarily always talk about faith and things of that nature on the podcast. Not that I'm against it,
Mhm.
just it has it just kind of came up. But we're here now,
Yeah,
right?
it is. So we in.
And so we were talking about, even just thinking about going through those seasons, right? Going through your seasons of life and then even getting to the victory part of it, as you're embracing your voice. And I definitely love the voice part about using your voice, especially to let people know that you need help, and that you're hurting. Part of my story that I've shared on the podcast before, going through dealing with the grief of losing my mom and everything, I was suicidal,
Mhm.
and I started having suicidal ideations, and they were bad, but I remember talking about it after the fact on the podcast. Once I started my podcast and started talking about these different things, my sister, my one of my sisters called me and said, "How did you go through all of that?" And none of us know. I got 8 siblings,
Wow.
and she's like, "How did you go through all that?" And none of us know. And I said, "Well, we weren't having the conversations."
Mhm.
And even at that time, during that time, there was a period during that time I was living with two of my sisters. You know what I mean? And so it's like you're in the same house and still not having the conversations. And so once I got out to this side of it, I talk about it all the time.
Mhm.
Using that voice in order to let people know it's okay, and it's okay that you're going through it, and it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to express yourself.
Mhm.
So I love that going, again, using your voice.
Yeah.
But through all of that, there is a measure of faith that you have as you walk through that, going through those seasons and having the faith that everything is going to be all right. Getting to that vision part and realizing the vision and the promise that God has given you for your life, right? And how your voice and how you show up in that space.
Yeah.
Again, you need faith in order to travel through those different spaces. And so when we get to the end of it, and we
Mhm.
talk about how big of a part that our faith plays, in this life that we've been given, in the seasons that we've made it through, in the victories and triumphs, and even some of the failures that we have, but still standing on that faith that everything is going to work out, that everything is working out for our good, even those things that ain't that good, you know
Mhm.
what I mean, that is still working out for our good. So as you in your words, when you're living a life of faith, that's fueling everything that you're doing, all the dreams that you have, all the goals that you have, all the things that you've overcome, how do you express and even explain it to someone to hold on to that faith that they have, that they can make it through, and that everything's going to be all right, in the end?
Mm. So let me tell you something about faith, fuel, and living. So It's another one of those formulas. Your faith fuels your living. It's that simple. Your faith fuels your living. So, with that being said, in the Bible, and again, because I serve God, but I'm pretty sure that whether you serve Allah, Buddha, whoever, you have some type of faith. And
Mhm.
so, whoever you serve, but in my God, He says that having a faith as a mustard seed, and we all know that faith as a mustard seed is very small. It's very minor.
Mhm.
You barely can see it. So when the question you said was, how can you help a person hold on to their faith? I shouldn't have to help them hold on because it's always there. If I have to help you hold on to a small mustard seed, that means your faith was non-existent from the beginning. And that's
Mhm.
the God honest truth. Because we should be able to have faith. I'm pretty sure that if you walk this earth, you have faith that your feet are going to go forward or backwards. Am I right?
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that if you have faith, that means that you will be able to sleep good at night in the bed that your God has provided for you because you had faith. So I
Amen.
don't need to help you understand or keep your faith because your faith is there. So you had faith that God was going to wake you up this morning, or
Mhm.
whoever you serve was going to wake you up this morning. So I don't need to help you keep your faith. What I need to help you do, and this is just me, what I would like to help people do is understand how to use the minor faith that you may still have in your body to fuel how you can live a better life, to find your purpose, to find your abundance and how to get it. Because only thing I need is for you to say, D, I got a little bit of faith. That's all I need because that little bit of mustard seed faith will grow once you plant it because you're going to fuel your living from it. So that's what my first thing I would do with anybody is to make sure that they understand that you never lost your faith, because you already had it. It never left you. Maybe you need somebody to make you realize that it never been nowhere, it didn't go nowhere.
Right.
It's been there. I just need to help you get to fueling it so that you can live a purposeful and prosperous and transformation life of
Yeah.
living.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I know my one of my mentors, Dr. Eric Thomas, he always says that people say they don't have faith. Like, especially if you've ever been on a plane, like you have faith. You have faith that
Exactly.
number one, you're gonna get in this tin can and it's gonna go in the air and take you to where you need to go. So you have faith in that. Also, you have to have faith in the pilot that he's okay and
Mhm.
in the right state of mind and that he's gonna do what he needs to do to get you to where you're going. And so all of these different things that you don't think about on a day-to-day basis
Mhm.
that you're using faith all the time, but you just have to
Not even think.
recognize that that is there.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love it. I love it, man. D, I definitely appreciate you being here. I appreciate you sharing with us. I definitely love everything you're doing. Guys, make sure you guys get the book. Excuse me. Get the journal, should I say, that definitely I will have the link in the description, whether you're listening to this on your Audible podcast or watching it on YouTube. The links will be in the description. Make sure that you guys get it. D, I want you to have the last word, right? I want you to leave us with a word of advice, inspiration, however you feel. And also with your social media handles and where we can find you and find. I know I'm going to put the description for
Mhm.
the book in the description, but anything else, projects that you got on the album, where we can find the album, all
Yeah.
of that information. So I want you to leave us with that. I'll give you a couple seconds to
Okay.
think about that. To my audience, thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with EJ's podcast. Make sure you guys are checking us out on our website, dealhealfulfill.org. Again, that's dealhealfulfill.org, where you can find more information about what we do and what we have going on. So make sure you guys are checking us out there. Also, ebooks by ejames.com used to be where I kept our ebooks, where you could go and purchase our ebooks, including Forgiving Me, the 4-Step Guide to Self Forgiveness, which I referred earlier in the podcast. But that website is no longer up. So if you're listening to this and you still want to get access to our ebooks, not only can you get the access to them, but you can get access to them absolutely free by joining our school community. Again, our school community on Deal to Heal School for Living, which is on the school platform. When you join for the first 7 days, again, it's absolutely free, but you're able to have access to the resources that we have there, including all of our ebooks, where you can go and download them for free. So, again, check us out. Scan the QR code in the corner, or go to the descriptions and go check us out on the school, Deal to Heal School for Living, on our school community um, platform, and you'll be able to get all of our ebooks absolutely free. Also, check us out at Deal to Heal Tees, deal, the number two, healtees.com, which is our inspirational t shirt line. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tee and be inspired all day. That is our tagline. So make sure you guys go check out our inspirational tees, and also check out our podcast merch that we have there, which is our t-shirts with our podcast logos on it. There's one for the Girl Dad Discussions podcast and one also for the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. So make sure you guys go to deal, the number two, healtees.com in order to check out our inspiration, the t-shirt line. One of the other things I talked about earlier is I have been blessed to be a part of an organization called the Forgiveness Mission for the last couple of years. And what we do, we have free virtual workshops bi-monthly, talking about the topic of forgiveness, forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others, even forgiveness of the world. And you can get access to these to take part in these virtual workshops absolutely free by going to forgivenessmission.com and signing up for our next virtual workshop. So whenever you're listening to this podcast, either a workshop just ended or there's one coming up, but it's absolutely free, but the information is priceless. So again, that's forgivenessmission.com. You guys can go there and sign up to take part in that. And last but not least, we are proud to announce that we have started our nonprofit arm of our podcast and of our business, and it is called Deal to Heal the World Incorporated. And so right now we are raising money in order to help us to be able to do more workshops and things in the community that is free for the community. As you guys know, when you are doing workshops or events and things of that nature, there is a cost, but we want to have the cost be on us and be free to the community and to provide services and resources to the community. But we can't do it without some help. So you guys can go into the descriptions and click the link for to make a donation to Deal to Heal the World Incorporated, which is our nonprofit arm of the work that we do. And we're very proud about that, to have that up and running. So make sure you guys go to our descriptions, check out all of our information about our guests, about everything that we're doing, about the school community, and definitely our new nonprofit. So make sure you guys are checking us out there. D,
Yes,
one
sir.
more time, I want to say thank you so very much for being on, for being my guest, for sharing your story, definitely your expertise. I want you to have the last word, so the floor is yours.
Well, Mr. James, I appreciate you having me on the show. I truly, truly enjoy myself, and the things that you are doing in the community are amazing. So I just want to let your viewers know, if you would like to continue to follow me, I am on Instagram at I am just D. As well as my website. If you want to purchase any of the books or any of our merch, our My Five Season merch is www.everythingjustd.com. We are here. I mean, we're here to help, because at the end of the day, I want to make sure that everybody understands how purpose and transformation looks in their life. People don't realize that purpose and transformation go hand in hand, because once you understand your purpose, your transformation is inevitable. Again, once you understand your purpose, your transformation is inevitable, meaning that you will start to do things that you have never thought in your life that you'll be able to do. And I'm here to tell you, as a witness and is still experiencing it to this day, how I am transforming myself because guess what? I know my purpose. So, with that being said, thank y'all, everybody. Thank you, Mr. James, for everything that you have done, as well as thank you for having me on the show. And I look forward to connecting with each and every last one of you.
All right, all right. We can't end it no better than that. To my listeners, thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, where our mission is to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Until next time, you guys be blessed. Thanks for listening to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Remember to listen, like, subscribe, and share. This episode has been brought to you by Deal to Heal Teas. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tea and be inspired all day. Let's go to dealtohealteas.myshopify.com. Remember, our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for listening.